Most of what I do, I think, is storytelling, really. I don't do many just standalone drawings and paintings. I do occasionally. But almost everything I end up doing is embedded in a narrative of some kind. And it's the narrative that gives it reason to exist for me. A single picture on its own just seems a bit of an orphan and doesn't have a context. Whereas if I've got some sort of narrative structure to it, even an exhibition, and I've done a few narrative exhibitions where there are stories threaded through the rooms, that just seems to make sense to me, and it brings all of these disparate images and ideas together into a strong statement or emotional narrative. My first love was comic books when I was a kid, and I still love the medium. It still makes very good use of what I do. Somewhere back there in the 20s and 30s, illustrators did actually look at real life and interpret that and make their drawings based on observation of real people and real places. But that just got lost over the years. People who then wanted to draw comics copied their drawings, and then the next generation copied those drawings. So the actual real world information is just getting watered down. So I went back to what real people look like, and how they talk, and how they gesture, and how they start saying one thing and then lose track. And I love all the humanness of all of that, and I wanted to get that back into comics. But having done that for my first 2 or 3 books, I then wanted the drawings to be more expressive. So now I'm trying to find just more expressive ways of drawing those characters, really. And I don't mind if they're in pencil or paint or ink or collage or sculptural forms that I can photograph. I don't mind. It's whatever gets the essence of those characters across. I fell in love with music at a very early age. My father played piano, not professionally, but around the house all the time. I played piano from 7 on. Almost everything I do ends up coming with a soundtrack, even if it's a book or something with no actual soundtrack. To find the mood of it, almost always end up searching for a CD or two that conjures up that mood. And then I put that on while I'm working, and I'm back in that world.
I just think there is very little actual fact in our lives at the moment, very little reality. Our conversation is real, but what's going to happen in an hour or so? You will have your version of events, I will have mine, and they will both be different. There will be a chaos of memories, misinterpretations, lateral connections, and they will all be a fantasy. And the layers of associations and connections that every second your brain is making as we navigate this world, it is all just a fantasy. And yet it seems as real as the sound of this table, the people we love. And that's why I think it's very important to deal with this definition of fantasy in our lives.
I wrote Luna listening to oud music, Anwar Brahim, and later on Dafa Yusuf, who we managed to get to come along and play on the film. And it was a perfect way of entering that world. The oud is a beautiful instrument, but you're not really sure where it's from. It's not from here. It's kind of Middle Eastern, kind of Mediterranean. It's not really geographically specific, but it has an otherness to it. And it has a very specific quality to it. And the players that play oud tend to play with certain scales and certain kinds of phrasing. And whenever I was writing it, I could just put on a bit of Anwar Brahim's music, and I was right back in that desolate house on the coast, and I could write it. So we had to have oud music in the final film. Writing is the key. The film lives or dies by the script, so that's where the foundation of it is. The shoot is always a war zone. You're just battling the weather, elements and compromises. just to get stuff down on film. But then the edit is a whole other authorial process. That's where the film actually gets made. That's the most fun bit, actually. The editing sequences of shots to music and running that for the first time. If you do a little bit of cutting, slap a bit of music that you think will work against it, and just run that for the first time. That's the only time I've ever been surprised and delighted by my own work. It only happens occasionally, but I never am surprised or particularly delighted when I'm drawing or painting. It just takes so long. It's part of an ongoing process, and it doesn't surprise you really. Occasionally it tickles you, but it doesn't really shock you like looking at somebody else's work. But seeing a little bit of film run through for the first time is like seeing somebody else's work for the first time. I plan to make a film at some point where, with an idea of what the film's about, the first stage actually would be to get some musicians together and record for a couple of days just some pieces, just some moods, and tell them roughly what I think might be happening. Guys running down a hill, play some music for that, and then take all of those hours and hours and hours of recording and use that as my foundational temp score, and then build the actual score on top of that. Must do that one day.